Hey, English Nomad here, and welcome to today's episode. In today's episode I'm going to be discussing my electrical system and giving you a quick look at it and figuring out where I'm going to put all of the key components to my electrical system, and then I can start doing the wiring. So let's just have a quick look at each of the components individually and we'll go from there. So I'll start with this. This is the DC to DC charger. What this does is it takes power from the main battery or the starting battery, and providing certain conditions are met, it will then use that power to charge the batteries in the camper. Now a lot of people use a split relay, but because of the type of battery chemistry I'm using, or will be using, which is lithium ion, this is a better option in terms of getting the correct charge profile you need to charge lithium ion batteries. This is a much safer option for lithium ion batteries because it will evaluate the state of charge of the batteries, the current state of charge of the batteries, and then it will apply an algorithm, a charging algorithm, that's appropriate for the state of charge. You don't get that with a split relay. Relay just basically diverts the full charge from the alternator to your auxiliary batteries, which for some batteries isn't going to either be sufficient or could be damaging to the batteries. So this is the non-isolated version. There's two versions of this. There's an isolated version and a non-isolated version. And because this has a common ground or a common negative, i.e. the chassis of the vehicle's got a negative and all of the negatives will go to the chassis, this is the correct one for this. If you were in a mobile home that had a fiberglass or plastic body, or most of the body on the back of a mobile home isn't steel and isn't earthed, you need to take both the positive and the negative from the starter battery, whereas with this I only need to pull the positive from the battery and then ground it to the ground point that I'll determine when I install all the other grounds. I'm going to use a bus bar. So that's the first part of the system. The second part of the system is this. This is the solar controller. I'm still waiting for the solar panels to be delivered, but this will be the device that will take the power from the solar panels, regulate it, and then turn that regulated power into a charge for the batteries. Again, like the DC to DC charger, this will have an algorithm specifically for the battery chemistry I'm going to be using. So there's different battery chemistries. You've got lead acid, you've got AGM, which is a type of lead acid battery, and you've got lithium, you've got lead crystal. There's a few different, but I'm going to be using lithium. So when I set this up, I'll tell it what size of batteries I've got, the type of batteries, and set up the charging profile based on the battery manufacturer's recommendations, and this will take the solar power, regulate it, and then turn that into a charge up to 30 amps. I'm going to have 275 watt, that's 350 watts of solar power in 2 panels on the roof. So this will take that power and enable me to keep my batteries charged. And the thing is, it will work, that will work in conjunction with a DC to DC charger as well. So if the vehicle's engine is running, I'll get a charge from the DC to DC charger, but anything that's coming into the batteries via the solar power as well will also go into the batteries. And that's one of the good things about lithium. Lithium will take a much higher charging current. It will also take a shorter time to charge. So because of that, you will get a much more efficient use of your solar panels. Okay, onto the final piece of the charging system. I've got this, which is a mains charger. So what this will enable me to do is when I do need to plug in to get power, I can use this to just basically charge my batteries. So all of my power will come from the batteries. It's just how those batteries will be charged. I'll have three methods of charging them. I'll have mains from this. Again, this is a 30 amp charger, so this will have a similar charging algorithm as all the other Victron products. So I'll set it up in pretty much the same way using the Victron app, and be able to apply the same sort of charging profile to the batteries as the solar regulator and as the DC to DC charger. So onto the output side. So on the 12 volt side of things, I've got this, which is the Blue Sea fuse box. So all of my 12 volts. So the power will come out of the batteries. I should explain that. So the power will come out of the batteries, and it will be distributed via bus bars, two bus bars, one for positive, one for negative. One will be feeding the 12 volt system, so all of my lights, all of my charging for cameras, mobile phones, all that stuff. Power for the fans, the lights in the skylight up there. All of that's 12 volts will be coming off this fuse box, and this is a marine grade fuse box, very high quality. So that's what I'll use to distribute all of my 12 volt power. There will be some fuses and circuit breakers in the system. I'll discuss that when I actually do the installation and show you the system and what I'm using as protection. One of the key components that I'll have in the system is a method of monitoring the power consumption, monitoring the power that's coming in via the solar. And to do that, I'll be using the Victron Smart Monitor. And what it consists of is this gizmo here, which is a shunt. This goes between the negative terminal of the battery bank, and then everything coming off comes off that. So basically all of your sources will come off this, and then what that does is the current that flows through here is measured, and you get a consumption. So whether there's a net amount of power going in or a net amount of power going out, you'll see that. You'll see the current state of the batteries, because it links to the positive terminal as well, so it measures the current state of the voltage. So that will be using, it's hard to see because it's still in the packaging, but there's a gauge there. I'll just take it out actually. So that's the gauge, the Victron gauge. So there's some cables and that go with that. So that's one of the ways that I'll be monitoring the batteries while I'm in the camper. Also, I'll have the app as well, so I can monitor all of that on the app. So it'll tell me everything that I need to know on the app as well. And finally, on the output side, or the consumption side of the system, I'm going to have this here. I'm not taking it out of the box yet. It's a 2000 watt pure sine wave inverter. So this will give me my AC power, and what will that enable me to do? It will enable me to charge things like laptops, my power tools. They're all 240 chargers. If I want to run a coffee machine, or if I want to run a microwave, I'll be able to run those off that. With the amount of amp hours I'm going to have, I should be able to run quite a lot of small 230 volt AC appliances. Not that I plan to do that initially, but it's good to have that in the system. In my last camper, I only had a 600 watt inverter, but even that did everything I needed to do, which was mostly just charging my laptop. So those are the key components, and I'll just show you where they're going to go. So they're going to go on the wheel arch box there. Now you can already see there's a load of cables coming out of the pillar there. Well, this is all of the cables that I've already run for my ceiling lights, my max air fan, the wall lights that are going to be in on the wall near the bed, and you can see all the cables hanging down here. There's one there, one there. There's cables that you can't see because they're hidden behind the roof panels at the moment and they haven't been connected. But all these cables in here, they eventually come out here, and they will be all connected to that fuse box. So anything else, any other power that I need on the lower part of the camper, I can run after the installation, because it'll be hidden behind units or behind paneling where you won't see it. So yeah, that's basically the key components. As far as batteries are concerned, I haven't ordered them yet. They will be getting ordered very soon. I'm thinking of 2 100 amp hour batteries, and the reason why I want to go with 2 100 amp batteries rather than going with a single 200 amp hour battery is because I want to be able to get the maximum amount of current out of those batteries at maximum discharge to run that inverter. If you run a large single battery, it will still only give you the same discharge as running a smaller battery. The discharge is very similar, whereas if you run 2 100 amp hour batteries, you can effectively double the amount of discharge you can get out of the system in one hit. So running something as big as that, you want to maximize the amount of battery discharge you can get at any one time. So yeah, lithium ion, probably 200 amp hours, and a good quality battery. Solar panels hopefully will be arriving in about a week. For some reason they're being held by the good people at the UK Customs. So hopefully I get them soon, and then I can install those on the roof. So that'll be a video coming up soon. Alright, I'll speak to you again soon. Okay, so I've installed all of the key units in place, and I've decided on this layout because what I want to do is I want to keep some space here free for the bus bars. So the batteries are going to live down here. That's going to take, so the negative will come off the batteries, it'll go into here, it'll come out of here, it'll go into the bus bar, but it'll also go up to the inverter. So all of the loads will come off this side, and the negative will have the positive will have a positive bus bar here, and all of the positive feeds can then be distributed to each of the units, and also you'll have all of the cabling going into the units for the various items. So obviously the solar power will come into this one, the alternator power will come into this one, and that one will just have the outputs going to the bus bars to charge the batteries. So basically all of the power will go into the bus bars, so the batteries will just be connected to each other and then to the bus bars via the negative going through this first. And that is basically how the system will work. I've mounted the fuse box just on this side, and the reason I put it there is I guess it's probably obvious. I want to be able to access that. If I need to change a fuse, then I don't want to have to crawl under the bed to get to the fuse box. So having it there makes it accessible. and plus all of my cables. The long now, I made them long so that I could trim them to size. All of this cabling is going to go to the fuse box, so I've only got to shorten it and then attach each of the cables to one of the terminals on the fuse box and put the appropriate size fuse in there, and we're good to go once I connect it to the bus bar. So I'll have a positive going from the bus bar to here, a negative going from this bus bar to here, and then that's how the system will work. And the same with that, there'll be a positive feed going to here. So it should, in theory, I should be able to keep all of my cabling relatively organised, and it should make some sense. It should be logical to understand how the system works. So I'll leave this video here. I hope you enjoyed that walk through the start of the electrical system. It's part of the project I always enjoy doing, is the electrics, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this system performs. I know a lot of people really do hold Victron in high regard. It's the first time I've used Victron products on this build. I've generally used Australian products called Red Arc in the past, but this setup is probably a much better setup for the sort of travelling I'm going to be doing here. Anyway, I'll leave that video here. Please as always, like this video, give me a thumbs up, and if you've got any comments, please don't hesitate, put the comments below. And as always, please subscribe. It will keep me motivated to make more of these videos. And if you do subscribe, click the little bell icon so that you get the notifications. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.